Hello, friends, and welcome into NBA Now. I am your host, Tom Downey. Alongside me is Jimmy Crowther. A jam-packed show for you guys today, and we're going to kick things off with that's what we normally do here. The latest NBA news and rumors. Let's talk trade here, Jimmy. Namely, did teams call the Indiana Pacers about Myles Turner?
Yeah, so apparently on draft night, there were teams thinking, hey, the Pacers might be looking to move Myles Turner and or Domantas Sabonis. Now, the thing was, obviously, the Pacers drafted Goga Bitadze, who is their new backup center behind Myles Turner, but the Pacers were pretty quick to shoot anything down. Turner is their starting center, and they feel pretty confidently that they can play him and Sabonis together in the same front court.
Which I am very curious to see how that actually fits together. And I think I get why teams would call the Pacers about Myles Turner. We heard those reports around the draft time of how, Indiana could trade Myles Turner. My thought was, but why? He's a really good young center. It's tough to find those guys.
Yeah, and he's kind of developing into this stretch 5 sort of center, and Sabonis is easily a stretch 4. Sabonis is your offensive-minded guy. Myles Turner's your defensive-minded guy. I don't see why they wouldn't work in the same front court. Now Sabonis is entering his contract year. He will be a free agent this next summer. So if there's one of them that gets actually traded, I think it would end up being Domantas Sabonis and not Myles Turner. Plus,
that would be my guess, too.
His asking price, according to the teams, was just ridiculous. The Pacers' asking price.
Now, maybe the raw numbers, the points per game and the rebounds aren't that high, but look, he's not the focal point of the offense. He plays good defense, and that three-point percentage is also very, very intriguing, too.
Yeah, I mean, not a ton of attempts coming there, but when he's open, he's more than willing to shoot them. And he's a shot blocker. That's what he is. He's the rim protector that Indiana has wanted. It's what he's developed into. This Pacers team is going to be looking nice next season.
Yeah, they got all kinds of options in terms of who's on the court at any given time. A pretty quality starting 5 there, although maybe Brogdon and Oladipo aren't your typical starting point guards, but they have T.J. Warren. Jeremy Lamb is also on this team. Both of the Holidays are now there, plus Turner and Sabonis. That's I think a top 4 seed out in the East.
I think so too. If Aaron Holiday can develop into what they want him to be, that's going to really help them out. But if not, they just signed T.J. McConnell, so they have him as a backup option as a point guard as well. So I like what Indiana did this summer.
Yeah, so teams did call about Myles Turner, but doesn't look like that trade's going to happen anytime soon. All right, folks, the goal in mind here is $130K. We're like 80 away.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
right
I haven't told you this yet, but the boss has said if we don't get to $130K by tonight, midnight tonight, you're done. There are no more NBA videos ever again.
Well, that's just a
we need 80 of you.
Just broke here on Chat Sports. So
we need 80 of you guys. That's it.
Would really appreciate 80 of you subscribing here as soon as freaking possible.
Yeah, so unless you want Jimmy to be fired and no more NBA videos, I know you guys think that's hater Jimmy, but if you still want NBA videos with Jimmy or somebody else, you better make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah, so please subscribe.
Anthony says bye Jimmy.
Hey, Trey
oh my God.
Oh no.
You know what? In hindsight, this might not have been the best idea, as now everyone's saying fire Jimmy.
Next rumor.
Also, if you hate Jimmy and you don't subscribe, then he stays and he does every single show ever.
So it's a lose-lose situation here for everyone.
I'll be honest here. I have regrets about how I planned this out there.
Yeah, me too.
Let's move then to Bradley Beal. The Wizards have offered him a 3-year, $111 million extension, but he's not going to sign that right now.
No. Look, it's a great deal, and obviously I think Bradley Beal wants the money. He wants the extension, and he's committed to the team. But he just has questions about where they're building, which I think is valid because this Wizards team doesn't seem to have any real solidified plan going forward right now. So he's holding off on signing it, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to turn down 3 years, $111 million.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for Beal is that he's definitely loyal to Washington as he should be, and I think he understands that. And at the same time, he's coming into his own as a star in the NBA, coming off his best year ever. But the Wizards, meanwhile, are trending in the opposite direction. Beal's on the rise. Washington is, at minimum, kind of the same and flat-lining there.
Yeah, nothing has really should have wowed Bradley Beal by now, so I don't like it. I understand why he wouldn't want to sign that right away. He wants to see them build around him. And if not, let's say they just want to move him and get something out of him while they can, there are definitely some teams that would be calling him up.
Some teams here to keep an eye out for in no particular order here, by the way. Denver, I think, makes a lot of sense. The Heat have been linked at plenty of times there as well. I see the Mavericks and the Spurs in the comments. I'm going to quickly chime in on those two teams.
Mavericks don't have the assets. I'm not sure the Spurs have the assets either.
Spurs are kind of weird where all their assets are guards.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you exactly doing there? And I'll make note here for Beal, this is not necessarily a panic and, oh my God, we got to trade him now.
Right.
A, he still has 2 more years left on his deal, including this upcoming season. B, he can wait and get more money. So as long as Beal thinks he'll stay healthy, it probably makes sense for Bradley Beal to not sign this extension quite yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, maybe the Wizards can make a couple more moves. Maybe they move. Maybe someone's willing to take on that John Wall contract for something if they attach it. I don't know who would. But if there's anything they can do to prove to Bradley Beal that they're building in the right direction, they need to get that done.
All right, guys. So which team will Beal end up the season with? At the end of the year, so i.e. after the trade deadline, is what we're really asking here, where will he end up? I see Oklahoma City, the Heat, that's a different question there. Never mind. Not Beijing. I was really confused by that. That's about where you have to move if you get fired.
Ducks.
Yeah. I see Miami and the Wizards in there as well.
You know, my gut tells me that he's going to stay with the Wizards, but I think if there's going to be a team that pulls off a trade, I think the Boston Celtics are finally going to do that big deal that they've been waiting to do.
Okay. All right, folks, keep those votes flowing in the comment section. More trade talk here. Is Andrew Wiggins not untradeable?
You know,
Double negative.
I personally never thought he was untradeable. I always kind of believed in his talent, even though he has a ridiculous contract. But there was a growing sense that, hey, this contract is way too much. It's not worth it. Nobody wants to take it on. But there's an NBA exec that went on record of saying, well, not on record, he was actually anonymous, but he said it, and he said, I don't believe it's untradeable. I think the talent is there. You can't score 20 points per game in the NBA without the talent being there, which is completely true.
Okay, I'm just going to make a mental note of that. Now, Wiggins coming off an 18.1 point per game season, so the numbers have declined a little bit, but the scoring has been there. The biggest problem for me, and I think you as well, Jimmy, the efficiency has not been there.
No, it definitely hasn't, and the defensive effort hasn't been there either. The guy that talked about this also said that there's obviously something missing, but if I knew what it was, then I would trade for him and fix it. We just can't figure it out.
Well, okay, like it's that simple.
I know, but
all Andre Roberson is missing for being an all-star player is a three-point shot. Yeah. I'll just trade for him and fix it. It's not that simple.
So I don't really know, but I agree. I don't think his contract is untradeable. I personally would make a move for it if I'm just some rebuilding team that needs to get rid of some veteran contracts.
So, again, I think it makes some sense there, but I think for Minnesota, with where they sit right now in terms of their overall roster, it might make more sense to stick with him for now, because you did add Jarrett Culver, who I think is going to be a key part of their long-term process there. Karl Anthony Towns, Robert Covington. It's that left side of your screen that's kind of in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Teague is definitely not your point guard of the future. I still believe in Andrew Wiggins. I mean, we're 2 years removed from him being a 23-point-per-game scorer, a little bit more efficiency on that year as well. But will he ever live up to that contract? I just don't know. All
right, so Wiggins is spelled W-I-G, which is kind of somewhat closely spelled similar to wings. Does that make any sense at all? Or is that the biggest reach of all time?
I mean, you can't spell Wiggins without wings. So
good point. That's what I should have gone with there. Pretend I said that, not the really weird thing. Also, it is National Wing Day, so are boneless wings actually wings?
Yes, they are.
You say yes.
They're not chicken nuggets.
Producer Tag calls them chicken nuggets. Mitch, what'd you say over there? Mitch says no, and Mitch binges like nobody else I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay, if they're not wings, then what are they? What do you say on them?
But they're not really chicken nuggets.
They're not nuggets because nuggets aren't soaked in sauce.
Well, you can make them and do that. I think it's kind of it's in this weird nebulous area where it is Schrodinger's wing. It is simultaneously not a wing, and it's also simultaneously is a wing. It's very confusing.
It's a wing.
It's its own separate category.
They're wings.
All right, so I'm just saying, keep that in mind there. All right, guys, make sure you are subscribed or no more NBA videos. And I mentioned firing Jimmy, and now we don't really have that one, and I kind of botched that, and it got weird because the people love to hate on you, which I only encourage because it's hilarious. So please feel free to hate on Jimmy there. So if we don't get to 130 by the end of the night, midnight tonight, you're fired. So if Jimmy is fired, which city should he move to?
I'm moving to Stillwater, Oklahoma. That's where I'm going if I'm fired. That's my go-to. That's my backup plan.
Well,
here.
It's not up to you. It's up to the people.
Oh, so they get to decide. So they get to decide if I'm fired or not, and they get to decide where I move. Yeah, there's way too much power.
Maybe you should kiss their ass a little bit. They try to save your job here.
Nah.
Someone said Detroit. Yes, that's perfect because you hated so much on Detroit.
Yeah, people are still mad at me. I got a comment about that today. Someone was like, yeah, remember when Jimmy called Detroit trash? And I was like, that was like a video that I first started here. Oh, man.
All right, guys, keep those votes flowing. Someone said Lithuania, too.
Good basketball.
All right, next up, Andre Iguodala. What's going on here, Jimmy?
He's in Memphis, but he might be moving as well pretty soon here because
Pick Iggy's next city.
I literally don't know what's going to happen with Iguodala. I mean, the Grizzlies, they seem like they're really just going to hold out until some team gives them a first-round pick, and I don't think they're going to get a first-round pick for him. It just doesn't make sense to me for any team to give that up. They haven't received any kind of offers they expected, and as we said, that expectation was a first-rounder. So I think they wait until that trade deadline when players that signed this summer can actually be moved.
Now, here are the teams that are interested in Iggy for a trade. LA, the Lakers have also had signing interest, but they can't trade for him. Dallas has had interest. There's been a reported offer from them. Denver, the price was too high. Houston, they kind of came in the same way. And the Clippers, well, they had more interest pre-Kawhi Leonard, Paul George movement.
Yeah, I think the two teams that are actually in the running for him are the Rockets and then somewhere down the road, the Los Angeles Lakers, but they obviously cannot do that right now.
So if Houston were to somehow add Iggy, this would be the potential player. This, I think, is more of a he is waived and signed.
Yeah, because I don't know what assets they would actually be willing to give up unless they gave up. I mean, I guess Houston could give up a first rounder and it wouldn't be that bad because it's going to be a bottom 25 pick.
Biggest problem is they'd have to move one of PJ Tucker or Eric Gordon.
Oh, the money.
Because of the money side of it.
Well,
if it were a trade.
Right. Theoretically, hypothetically speaking, this is a good fit. You know, Iguodala comes in, he plays defense, and you got three-point shooters in PJ Tucker and James Harden. Maybe the spacing isn't as great as you'd like it to be, but it's still pretty solid.
All right, the Lakers, meanwhile, again, this is via a signing. That helps their wing defense, which I think is pretty key given they have to face, in theory, Kawhi and Paul George in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, that allows LeBron James not to have to guard either Kawhi or PG. Maybe he guards the other one, but Iguodala takes probably the better player at the time, and it takes a huge load off LeBron's shoulders.
And it allows Iggy to reserve most of his energy for defense and LeBron most of his energy for offense there. I think the biggest issue for Memphis is they wanted a first-round pick, and no one's been like, yes, we're going to do that.
Yeah, which I think is smart. If I was a team, I wouldn't trade for... How old is Iguodala now? Like 35? I think he's getting up there, and he's not the same 76ers Andre Iguodala that he once was, so I wouldn't give up a first-round pick for him.
All right, so which team will trade for Andre Iguodala? If you think it's no one, just say no one trades for him and tell us which team you think signs him. What do you have in mind here, Jimmy? Do you think there's a team that actually does it in the end?
I'm going to say Memphis just ends up buying him out. I think they'll give up on their trade hopes, and he's going to be sitting on the bench, and that just kind of creates an awkward locker room because Iggy doesn't want to be there. I think they'll buy him out in the end.
All right, keep those votes flowing. I see Dallas, Detroit, the Spurs, Golden State, which would be hilarious.
Not going back there.
A lot of Golden State votes in there, too, actually. Dallas seems to be a popular one in there.
Yeah, it is a popular one.
They could offer Courtney in a second.
They could. They did that, and they got shot down.
Yep. Let's move then to Carmelo Anthony. Jimmy's going to get fired. He will not get a farewell tour, which is what Carmelo Anthony wants.
I don't even get a farewell tour. I don't get to do a few videos just celebrating myself.
You were hating on Melo too much.
That's fair.
By the way, obviously we're kidding.
Are we?
Or are we? Yeah, great point.
I really don't know
Who
if we
knows?
are anymore. We're kind of too far into this whole thing.
The best part is I don't tell Jimmy any of these things before the show and just throw it on him.
Yeah, so Carmelo's trainer basically just said out loud or to everybody, just said, hey, Carmelo wants a farewell tour. He wants one more shot in the NBA. He wants to do what Dwayne Wade did and just exchange jerseys with a bunch of people and get his name chanted when he goes out on the floor for 5 minutes. Look, he also said that Melo is better than 60 to 70% of the NBA. That's like 250 players in the NBA that Carmelo Anthony is better than. And that is absolutely preposterous.
Is it though?
Yes!
Are you sure?
You know what? If I get a farewell tour here, I'm going to do a single video on 250 players better than Carmelo Anthony right now, and I will make it a 3-hour video if I have to. But anyway, here's what his trainer said. It's just that teams are afraid of, quote, I want to be the starter, and that's not the case. Melo just wants to have a farewell season, do what D-Wade did, have a jersey swap. He had a great career, he's a Hall of Famer, so hopefully that could happen. Second half of that, where he says he had a great career and he's a Hall of Famer, I absolutely agree with. But I hate the way that Dwayne Wade went out that final season, just gloating in his final year and making it all about him.
Wow, so you hate D-Wade and Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy.
Yep, it's just This is just a bloodbath right now, I'm going to be honest.
Please type H in the comment section if you think Jimmy is a hater here.
I will own up to the hate. Look, Carmelo's last full season, this was his year with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The numbers looked good, but efficiency was not there. Defense was not there. So that's kind of an empty 16.
Look at all the H's flowing in.
Good. Bring it on. And let me tell you what. If you looked at it and you looked at the two guys that went out last season, the two Hall of Famers, Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki didn't make a big deal about his last year whatsoever. Dwayne Wade, on the other hand, everywhere he went, he had to exchange a jersey and make sure that everybody knew it was his last year. He sold merchandise, called it the World Tour. And look, these are the numbers he put up his last season. And I don't think Carmelo can even put up these numbers if he came back for a farewell tour. And if he came back for a farewell tour, he wouldn't play more than 5 minutes a game, nor should he for a relevant team in the NBA.
There's so many H's in the comment section. I think you're hating too much on D Wade. I think he gets to do whatever he wants because he won a title for the Miami Heat. That's fine.
The refs won a title for the Miami Heat.
Oh, stop it!
Just saying.
Stop it! Now you're leaning too much into the hater Jimmy side.
I'm not. That's truth.
Is it though? Is it?
Do we really need to go?
No, we don't need to revisit it. We don't need to revisit it. So Jimmy here claims he could score on Carmelo Anthony.
Nope, never claimed that. Did not claim that whatsoever.
I also made that up. He didn't go that far in the hater. But what if any NBA player do you think you could score on? Just one basket. It's one-on-one pickup basketball. First to 15 or 21, whichever one you tend to play.
Realistically, I don't think I could score on a single basketball player in the world.
Good answer.
That's professional. But if I had to choose
Someone
one,
said Pablo Pergoni.
if I had to choose one, I'd either say A, Isaiah Thomas, or B, Taco Fall. The two ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
You either take the small guy or you take the big guy out on the perimeter and try to get past him, but it's not going to happen.
All right, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments section.